Okay, hey guys, I'm back. I'm recording in my garage late at night because my kids are asleep, and this is the only quiet place for me. But I figured I'd continue where I left off, and in my last video where I was talking about the things I was going through in the hospital, I was telling y'all about how when the nurses would change my bandages and I would have them take pictures before they would clean anything so I could see how it was personally progressing. I started noticing leakage coming from my incision, and I kept trying to get them to talk to my surgeon or get my surgeon to come and talk to me. Now, I never heard from my surgeon again at the first hospital that I stayed at. I later found out from that surgeon that the other doctors never once called him and told him my concerns. Now, that frustrated me because it probably could have saved me a whole lot of trouble. Because I kept complaining because it was hurting a lot. It went from me feeling relief after my initial surgery, even though I was still in pain because I was healing, I was feeling a little bit better than what I was when I had the abscess in my spine. Now it went from feeling somewhat better, I wasn't hurting as bad as I was, to it started hurting just as bad, if not worse. And I kept complaining to them, and they said it's just the process, but it didn't feel right. And they ended up moving me from wing to wing until they finally moved me to a different wing that did not specialize in my kind of treatment, and they booted me out of the hospital. My surgeon said they did not understand why they kicked me out of the hospital, because he would not have given the okay if he would have known that I had leakage coming out of my back. He said that at the first hospital I stayed at, which was Memorial Hermann Memorial City, if they would have told him, that he would have went right back in and fixed the issue. I kept complaining for about, I want to say 2.5 weeks after my surgery, that it was hurting me, and it was like it was going in one ear and out the other with these doctors, until finally they sent me home. And the way they sent me home, I was still in excruciating pain. I would be screaming and crying and seizing up, and the nurses, like, I was crying and telling them, like, I can't go home, I'm not ready because I'm still in a lot of pain. And the nurses will tell me, no, they're not going to send you home. They can't send you home unless your pain is managed. And my pain was not managed. So there was no way they were going to send me home. They said that was basically like torture, to send a patient home knowing that their pain was not managed in any way, shape, or form by the medication that they were giving. The medicine that they were giving did not help me for anything. I kept telling them nothing was helping me. I was still crying. I was hurting. I couldn't stand still. Of course, at that time, I couldn't stand at all. Because after my initial surgery, both my legs did not work. But the way that they sent me home is they called EMS to pick me up to bring me back to my house. And they told me, oh yeah, EMS said that they're going to be here at 3 something. So a little bit before 3, before the time that they said, a little bit before that the ambulance was due to come and pick me up, they gave me what little bit of painkillers that they were giving me, which wasn't doing anything in the first place. And then the ambulance didn't get there till quite some hours later. And when I was in the EMS that they had called for me was transport only. So even if they wanted to help me manage my pain on the ride home, they could not, because they didn't have that kind of medication on those transports. So the whole ride there, from Houston all the way to where I live in Wharton, was hell. I was trying my best not to scream and cry, but I was in so much pain. Every little bump, every hit, every break that this guy would do was killing me. I get home, they help me inside, they help me get into my bed because, like I said, I was completely wheelchair bound. Um, they tell me, follow up with your doctors, you'll be fine. I didn't make it an entire night home. I was in so much pain. Okay, I didn't make it at home for not even a whole night. I was in so much pain that I felt like my heart was going to give out on me. Um, I couldn't take it anymore. So I ended up calling the ambulance and I went back in. I explained to them, uh, the pain I was going through and everything that had happened. And they said that they believe that that hospital should not have sent me home. They took a look at my back and they said, yeah, you have leakage. There's infection there. It's very clear. Any nurse could see it. And so the fact that they didn't tell the doctor was really weird. And then they sent me to Houston again, but to a different Memorial Hermann. I believe it was Texas Medical Center they sent me to, which just so happened to be the same doctor that worked on me the first time. I didn't know that because I think initially when I got there, it was a different doctor. Then because he was off or something that night. So I remember that doctor's name. But then, when I first got there, it wasn't quite like the first time I went under surgery. I didn't even know and just woke up hearing your surgeries went great. But this time they did my MRI. They woke me up. They told me what was happening. They told me that they needed to go back in and do surgery again. And that more than likely they were going to keep my back open for a week, maybe two, because of how much infection there was. So I was told that the infection went from the surface of my skin all the way back to the original spot and spread it out further. So each time I went under, I was told that the chances of me waking up would be less and less because of how many times I have been going under surgery back to back. They kept my back open and they had a wound vac in for about 2 weeks. They would go back in and remove more of the infection and just continue to go in. But finally, the last surgery came. I think it was after 2 weeks. It finally came and they told me that they were going to close me up finally. And they had to cut away so much that they had to call plastic surgery in to close my back up. So when I came home from the first hospital, they had left 2 JP drains in the incisions right here. So right here and here on either side of my incision were 2 JP drains that they left in there that was pulling out this weird, I want to say like brown colored substance. And they left it in. So now when you have surgery, they have JP drains around the incision to draw blood out so that way it doesn't create like I guess like a blood pocket that could turn into another infection. So I had those 2 on top, and when they removed those 2 from the top after my first surgery, the lady stitched me closed, and I was still kind of out of it when I'm sorry, my allergies are acting up. I was still kind of out of it when she asked me, but she ends up asking me pretty much if I wanted to do the 3-step or 2-step of when they removed the JP drain. And she said two-step is I just remove it, close you up. And she said the third step is really unnecessary because it's really fast. She didn't explain to me that the three-step involved numbing medication. So I just was like, okay, just the two-step. And so she pulled it out and it felt really weird. It still felt like it was it was immense pressure, but it still hurt. Like they tell you it doesn't hurt, but it does. Then she proceeded to stitch me up, the slowest stitching I have ever felt. And I was screaming because I could feel the needle go in ever so slowly and her pulling the thread so slow. And it hurt so much. And I was yelling for her to hurry the fuck up, to just stop. And she's like, we got one more. She pulled the other one out and continued, instead of like numbing me, seeing that clearly it's hurting her a lot. She just kept going. So after my other surgeries that I had at Texas Medical Center, they were talking about removing my JP drains, even the ones that I came in with. I got very scared because I did not want to go through that again. I told them, if y'all are going to do that, if y'all don't want to numb me, y'all going to have to put me under or something because I don't want to feel that again. And they looked at me kind of crazy and was like, what are you talking about? I told them what happened at the last hospital, that they sewed me closed. And she said, why did they sew you closed? JP drain holes are so small that they close up within 2 to 3 days. That they'll scab over, won't nothing get in it, nothing comes out, and your body closes up within a matter of weeks. You don't need to sew it closed. I got very, very frustrated when I heard that because I didn't have to go through what I went through, you know? So when they told me this, I was a little bit happy that I wouldn't have to go through the stitching, but was still kind of dreading the tubes coming out. So they told me that they would remove the tubes once they were producing less than 10 milliliters of blood for more than 2 days. So the first ones to go were the bottom two, and those ones were really difficult when they pulled them out because the very end of the drain, it got really fat and it curled into like a weird hook or almost like a little pig's tail. And so when they pull it out, it straightens it, and so like you feel it, the hole gets like stretched out too because it gets thicker towards the end. And so that hurt. And the top ones, they're different. The ones that are just for the blood, it was different. It was like a tube, I want to say like that long, and it has like a bunch of holes in it, and it's like really squishy and stretchy and everything. The nurses and everything were really kind to like let me see what everything was that they were pulling out of me and how everything looked. They would take pictures for me, which I'm not gonna share. I don't know. Depends if people ask me to share the pictures. If y'all ask me to share the pictures, I will gladly make like a video thing of the pictures. I just have to go through and like edit them. And I'll post a video of how it started after my initial surgery all the way through to the end, and even after I got my stitches removed and everything like that. So if y'all want to see that, just go ahead and leave a comment and I will make the video. Now, once I had most of the JP drains removed, I had all but the top right one removed, and I was just waiting for that one to come out. Now, this whole stay of the last month, which is the month of July that I was in the hospital at Texas Medical Center, I had started getting feeling back in my left leg, which really excited me because I felt like, okay, I can do this. The whole first month I was in the hospital, I had no feeling from the waist down, and it made me panic. Now, my right leg still was not wanting to function. I couldn't bring my knee up. I couldn't kick my leg out. I couldn't do anything with it. And it was in a constant pain, and I would get stabbing pains where I felt like A knife was like being pushed into my leg very, very slowly, and it was really, really painful. And I would have seizures. Of course, at the time, I did not know that they were seizures. I would try to talk to the doctors about it, but they would never physically see it. And the nurses that would see it would end up telling the doctors, oh, they're just spasms from her pain. So I believed them until I found out that it wasn't. I left the hospital. Once they let me go, they closed up my back, removed the last JP drain. Everything was going smooth. I was kind of starting to be able to transfer from my bed to the wheelchair, and to get to use the restroom and trying to learn how to stand again. And so I was doing really good and I was excited, but I would still have these episodes, is what I would call them, which is what they told me were spasms. But these had started well before my first surgery, and I believe it was due to the infection in my spine that started it, which is what I thought. But I went to follow up with my doctor, and I found out that it was not that. It was seizures. I was having seizures. So they told me the fact that I have been having seizures for so long without it being taken care of, that I can literally go paralyzed on one half of my body. I went to go see a neurologist, and they told me that my whole right side is losing its feeling. They do like a test with a needle, and he thought I was faking at first, so he literally was kind of digging and drawing a little bit of blood and asking if I felt that and would push harder, and on my face, all on my left side, near my back, on my leg, and I couldn't feel it. My kids come up and tap me on my leg and I can't feel it. So they started me on seizure medication, and it's helping. I don't have as many seizures. I used to have, I think it was getting up to like 30 to 40 seizures a day. It was getting really bad. I was getting to moving more, but the fact that I was seizing up was making it more difficult for me. But now that it's more controlled, I'm actually able to move around more. I've gotten a little bit more function in my leg since then, which I'm really proud of, because they told me I shouldn't be able to stand without a walker for a year. I got out of the hospital in July, and I'm already walking without the use of a walker or anything. It's been really hard. I fall a lot and I hurt myself. I've been in and out of the hospital since I left the hospital in July. My heart was giving out on me. My vision has been going. My hearing's going, and they were scared that I had a brain tumor. But I did an MRI and found out that I don't, and that's a good thing. But they're trying to figure out what's causing it. They did find fluid at the base of my brain that's pushing on it, and they said that they believe that that could be the cause of my seizures, but they're still not 100% sure. I have to wait to do a few other tests to get more information. But I also found out I have a autoimmune deficiency, and they told me that there are over 80 autoimmune deficiencies, and I've been tested for about 40 of them already. And all of them have come back as I don't have it, so they can't help me until they figure out what it is. It's just a very long process. And a lot of the times, a lot of the time I feel like there is no end to this. And then I think back to the moments when I thought I was gonna die in the hospital. And I realize where I am now and how quickly I have gotten here. Because my doctors told me I should not be able to stand without the walker for a year. And I shouldn't be able to walk for 2 to 3 years. But I couldn't just sit around and accept that, and I pushed myself hard. I pushed myself very hard to get where I am. And I have to remind myself of that when I felt like there was no up. When I was in that hospital, I thought I'd never see my children again. And now I get to see them every day and hug them and kiss them. And my kids, they've seen my seizures, and they go and they get me help when they can, or they'll sit there and wait with me to make sure I'm okay. And I hate that my children see me this way, but I really don't have a choice. My kids are the reason I fight to keep going. Because every day I'm in pain constantly. It doesn't go away. No matter what the doctors prescribe me, no matter what I try, I'm in a constant pain. But I'd rather be in pain here living than be gone. So I put a smile on my face for my kids every day. I get up, I take care of them, I play with them, I have so much fun with my children. Because going through what I went through just made me realize so much more that life is too short. I know there's people out there that are going through something similar to what I went through. Because I know when I was in that hospital, I was looking up. When I was in that hospital, I was looking for people who had went through what I went through to see if people had made it through. Were they able to walk ever again? Or was it like the doctor said? That first doctor, the first person, there was this guy that came in and he told me that I might as well apply for disability because I'd never walk again. But here I am walking. So I'm making these videos to hopefully let somebody out there who's going through what I went through know that it gets better. It's a hard road. It really is. But you'll make it through it. And I wish y'all all the best, whoever's going through what I went through. I really do pray and hope that y'all get through it just as I did. And y'all could get back to y'all's lives. And y'all could be healthy and happy. I'm going to continue to update y'all on what I'm going through. and my progress. Um, like I said, I can already walk now, but I still fall quite a bit. And my doctors told me that's not safe because I can fall and damage myself worse and put myself in a worse predicament, but I try to be very cautious when I walk. But I hope y'all found this video helpful. And, I hope it helps y'all through what y'all are going through. Bye everyone. Talk to y'all next time.